God tells this man to push on the rock, and he pushes on this rock day after day. And the rock never goes anywhere. And so he tells God, and he's like, God, I never moved that rock. And God's like, I never asked you to move that rock. I asked you to push on that rock, and look at how much stronger you are now because of it. And it's like, look at how much stronger you are because of the hard things that you're doing.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Missionary Box Podcast. I got one of my companions here.
Ciao.
Elder Frost, a.k.a. now Tim.
Shoot.
You were just released what day?
I was released on Tuesday, is when I got home.
Tuesday. So you just got back from Slovakia. So I served in the York Syracuse Mission, and he started his mission a little bit in New York Syracuse.
Yeah.
For like a transfer, and then he got shipped out to Slovakia because it wasn't visa waiting, it was COVID waiting. I've got a lot of fun memories with this kid. Like, so many fun memories. Well, let's just talk about how we even got here to where we are right now. Mm-hmm. Because I got a lot of fun stories that we want to dive into with this podcast. But a little bit of backstory. My grandparents are here with me on this little trip. And when I was on my mission, they would always send me packages. And whenever they sent me a package, they would send me and my companions packages. And on the package, like, we all got gifts from my grandparents, and then you got some gifts, and it said, "Love, Grandma and Grandpa." And you started crying. You were like,
did I?
Yeah, you started tearing up. You're like,
shoot, I don't remember that part, but that does sound like me. Honestly, I feel like I would do that.
So explain why it was so emotional and so exciting to get a package from Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah, so my grandparents actually passed away before I could see them. One of my grandparents was alive, but he died a few years after I was born. So I never really got to know them. But when I got that package from Elder Bender's grandparents, I was like, oh shoot, it's like my grandparents are sending me a little package on my mission, and it was a lot of fun.
It was so fun. I loved it. And my grandma and grandpa were like, no way. And so my grandma's like, can I just like adopt him as like my missionary grandson? Yep. So she kind of like adopted Elder Frost, and she would write you like every P day.
I just got an email one day that was like, hey Elder Frost, like I'm Elder Bender's grandma, and I just want to adopt you. And I was like, what is this family doing? Who rose this family, man? This family's lit.
And so my grandparents and I just drove up to Arizona here to be here for Elder Frost's homecoming. And I was like, hey, I got this little podcast going on here. Do you want to hop on it? And he was like, oh, shoot, let's do it. So here we are. That's how we're here. It's so fun.
Crazy. You're literally a dude from California, and I'm a dude from Arizona.
Yeah, I'm actually happy it wasn't further. Like, that made it so much easier to do a little trip. It was fun. So, okay, let's dive into this. So, grew up in Arizona. What made you want to serve a mission?
So I'd always kind of grown up knowing that I was going to serve a mission. Well, not knowing, but like I'd always kind of grown up thinking that I was going to serve a mission. And the time kind of came to turn in my papers, and I was doing it, and I kind of went through. And then I found out where I was going. I definitely thought I was going to serve like a stateside mission. And then I opened up my call, and it was like Czech Slovak Mission. I was like, that's not Kansas. So that kind of surprised me. And also, I think it was a surprise, too, because I had never thought about the fact that I could serve outside the States. I'd never, like, put myself in a position where I was like, Tim, you would be okay if you left that far from home speaking a whole different language. And then I read it. I was like, shoot, the Lord thinks it'd be okay if I could do that. The Lord has that much trust in me. And I think that was actually kind of a big thing, realizing that God has this kind of trust in me that I might not have in myself. And because I can draw on that to do things I did not think I could do. And that was really powerful, I think. And so as it kept coming closer, I just kept thinking like, hey, God knows I can do this. He trusts me enough. And then in December of 2020, I got set apart as a missionary, got 9 weeks of MTC, because Slovak is a Slavic language.
Crazy language, by the way.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I got 9 weeks of online MTC.
Yeah, because it was COVID.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
They did the best they could. I'm really proud of them, but...
Yeah,
man. When the other missionaries come on, it's like, it's been 2 weeks. It's so long. Can't wait to go out. And I'm like, it's week 7, baby.
Yeah,
week 7.
Yeah, it's crazy. Those long Zoom meetings are memorable, dude.
Yeah, it's happened just in a room right over there.
That's what makes me happy though, because I heard about this house a little bit when we were companions, and now seeing it is really fun. Like being on the swing set. That's why we're filming on the swing set. This is like an iconic swing set.
Like I grew up on the swing set.
Yeah, this is cool. It's like kind of fun to see your childhood, and we're gonna switch to. This is the goal for this video. We want to switch to different spots throughout this backyard. I don't know how many spots we're gonna have, but we got chickens back here. We got all sorts of things. We want to highlight some of your favorite spots growing up as a kid. That's kind of fun to be able to be here for that. So I love what you said about how you're like, I don't feel like I could do this, but the Lord knows I can. Mm-hmm. I think that type of mindset is like so awesome. I love that. And that's what helped you get through like what you thought would have been impossible with being, this is like a whole new thing. Going on a mission is a whole bunch of unknown. It's like that. It's like that Frozen 2 song, "Into the Unknown."
I still think that's better than "Let It Go." For the record,
just putting that out there.
Just putting that out there. One of those is better than the other. Just saying. Anyway,
leave in the comments what you think is better: "Let It Go" or "Into the Unknown."
There's the right answer.
There is a right answer. So, what would you say to someone that just opened up their call and they're like, "Holy crap!" Like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. This is overwhelming. Because I think you felt that a little bit, or probably maybe a lot of it. I don't know, a decent amount. What would you say to someone that like, maybe they just got their call this week and they're like, I don't know how I'm gonna do this?
I would honestly say, remember that through Christ you really can do all things. That did not, however, say that it will be easy. That's the kicker. I think a lot of people sometimes think that like through Christ it'll be easy. That's definitely not the case. My mission was not easy.
Yeah.
I don't think any mission is easy, to be completely frank. Like, if you have an easy mission, something wasn't right. The mission is meant to be hard, and you're meant to stretch. And that's actually one of the biggest things I learned in my mission is that like, just because it's hard doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. And we're here on this earth to like have those hard experiences. But that's also why we have Christ. Like through Christ, you really can do all things. Even a mission to a foreign country that you may or may not have known existed.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't know Slovakia existed?
I did. I took in German in high school, so I knew there was some stuff around there, but at least I did not say Czechoslovakia when I opened up my mission call.
What'd you say?
I said Czech Slovak. I said Czech Slovak. I put the emphasis on the wrong thing.
There you go. I think everyone pronounces their mission wrong. I said Cycros, so.
That's right, you did. I remember you showed me. Well, because I opened up the email saying my reassignment. I was like, New York Mission.
It's a mission.
I couldn't say Syracuse.
That's so funny. So you were talking about how you've grown on your mission. What is one of the areas that you think you've grown the most?
Sorry, just kidding. Anyways, definitely not.
This man learned how to pull up on his mission.
I did.
Let's go.
I won't show you. My arms are feeling weak, but no. I would probably say like. One of the areas I've grown the most on my mission. I think definitely like on the emotional maturity level. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. The ability to like be okay with the hard things. Because I think there's a lot of people that when the hard thing comes, like they'll just complain or they'll just shut down. I think shutting down is also one of the biggest things.
It's an easy thing to do.
Is like if something happens, then their only response is to just shut down until it stops. Yeah. But it's like if you do that on the mission, like I've done it on the mission, I grew, but it's like when that happens, you can't really do much, and it's a lot better you learn if you just learn to move forward with Christ.
Yeah.
And like that's the key. You could do it by yourself. It's gonna be really painful. It's gonna be painful either way. But like with Christ, you'll get through it, and it'll be okay.
Yes, I love that so much, and I feel like that's where the most growth happens when you're put into situations where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, and you persevere. You don't press like the pause button. Like you just are like, I'm gonna go.
By the way, most missionaries don't really know what they're doing.
They never know what they're doing. I feel like even at the end of your mission, like you just don't know what you're doing still.
Yeah, I'd always looked up at missionaries and be like, wow, like you know exactly what's going on. Like you're doing the, and then I'm a missionary. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing still. But Companion's like, Elder Frost, what are we doing? I'm like, just contact the next person. Just go.
It's so funny.
Then you hit the pillar and you're like, oh, it worked out.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about Slovakia. What is it like over there? There's castles. That's all I know. There's
a lot of castles. So my mission was the Czech Slovak Mission. So I had both countries. They used to be Czechoslovakia, but in the 1990s, turn of the 1990s, they split into Czech and Slovakia. It was called the Velvet Divorce. The two countries just kind of decided that they needed to split. They're still really good friends. They're still really good friendly countries. The Czechs love the Slovaks. Slovaks love the Czechs. But yeah, there's a lot of castles over there.
That's so cool.
There's a lot of history. There's a lot of deep, rich history with like the world wars in the 1900s. There's just a lot of really deep, rich Slovak folklore as well. Czech and Slovak, like there's like a traditional dress. There's traditional Kroj pattern as well. that a lot of missionaries actually make ties out of. It's really cool.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
All right, scene change. Here we are on your childhood slide.
Treehouse.
Treehouse. You call this the treehouse?
Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
I went down the slide. Shoot, we had water slides on here too. Like we'd get the hose up, put up with a brick, and just go down with the slip and slide at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's genius.
lit.
That's so epic. Slip and slides. That's a throwback. I love that. You were telling us a little bit about Slovakia.
Mm-hmm.
You were branch president in Slovakia because how many wards are there in all of like your mission?
So Czechia is its own stake, and it's got, I can't remember how many wards and branches it's got.
It's mainly branches there though, right?
Yes. I'd say 2/3 branches, 1/3 wards, maybe a little. It's got wards and branches basically. But Slovakia is just a district, which means it's under the head of the mission president. It doesn't have a stake president. It has a district president, but he reports directly to the mission president. And it's got 4 branches. When I first got there, 3 out of those 4 branches were run by missionaries. Like the missionaries were the branch president.
Oh my goodness.
And when I left just last week, all of them are headed by, one of them is headed by a senior missionary, but the rest of them have members as branch presidents.
That's such a win. You got to see that progress.
I did. It was really cool.
Oh, that's actually really cool that you're able to be a part of that. And at one point you were a branch president.
Yeah.
How did that help you grow in ways that you've never thought you'd ever be a branch president at what, 19?
19, 20, yeah, that was crazy. I think honestly being able to talk with the members inside, because like bishops and branch presidents, I was branch president during December, which means I worked with, back then it was tithing settlement, but now it's tithing declaration. And I think talking with them about that and why they would pay that. Like in Slovakia, like they have their own hardships going on, the members, and they still were faithful like that. And they were like, I know this blesses me. And that was really beautiful to see. I think that's just true with all of the members in Slovakia, is like the ones that are active have used their faith to get through really tough times, like communism, and just frankly countries and people that really don't want to listen. Czechia is the most atheist country in Europe. Slovakia is pretty much all Catholic.
Wow.
And so for them, their faith is like what's kept them going, and it's really beautiful to see.
I love that. And
also just like how they're all friends with each other. There was a time where a member was sick, and all of the active members across the country called and prayed for her together. And it was really beautiful because like they love each other and it's like a family.
I love that. That's something that I didn't know I was going to learn so much from, was the members. Like, you don't realize that when you go into the mission, that because you think, oh, I'm going to be knocking on doors, maybe I'll be teaching some people and I'm going to learn a lot from those people. But some of my most important lessons I learned on my mission were from like experiences, obviously serving people and stuff, but also just members' wisdom. Like hearing the testimonies of people and being in their houses is just, it hits different.
Which is funny because like if you've been a member your whole life, or if you've been a member, you've probably had the missionaries over at your house at some point. It's like that's pretty much the only time you ever see missionaries. So it's interesting that like when you think about a missionary, you don't really think about the member work, which in Slovakia is like a massive part of what we do.
Yeah.
There used to be a KI for it actually. There still is technically, but
a what?
Or like a returning member KI. We had 6 KIs.
What's a KI?
Excuse me, key indicator.
Oh. My bad. KI, doing mission slang here.
My bad.
Just kidding. What was one of your favorite service projects on the mission?
Ooh, I can't lie. When I was quarantining in Omastina, which is a small town near Trenčín, there's a creek that runs through the middle of the town. It's a tiny town, population like 10, tiny thing. And there's a creek that ran through it. And at some point, a construction company had come by and dumped a bunch of dirt in there. And so it like clogged up the stream. And so we were talking to the member family we were with, because they owned the hotel or the pension that we were staying at. And they were like, yeah, the villagers hate the dirt in there. And we were like, oh, we'll get it out. And so we literally spent like an afternoon just in a creek, just chucking mud out. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah. Did everyone looking at you, were they like,
yeah, they were like, what are they doing? They're getting the dirt out. What? The villagers loved it. Right after that, like some of the villagers went inside the pension with us and we taught them a lesson. None of them...
Up top! Let's go!
It was really cool. Plus, like, I couldn't speak Slovak, so the person doing it, Elder Parker, he was the one speaking the most Slovak, but, like, it was cool to see and hear Slovak, like, being taught, like, gospel being taught in Slovak. There we go. But yeah. It was really cool.
That is so cool. So, Slovak, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Slovak.
So, how do you feel? Do you feel like you know it now? Like, if you could have conversations with people.
If you dropped me in the country, I would survive.
You would survive.
We'll put it that way.
Survive better than I would. That's for sure.
I mean, they mostly speak English too.
Yeah.
That's why I would probably survive.
Okay, how would you say, like, hi, I'm a missionary? Like, give us a little bit of a spice.
That would be ahoy, som missionar.
Oh, what?
Ahoy. Ahoy.
Ahoy?
Yep. Ahoy. Som is I am. You could say ja som, but you just say som.
Okay.
And then som missionar. And then, yeah, that's how you just say hi, I'm a missionary. You could also say like dobrý den, som missionar.
Wow. Okay. What was your classic approach to like street contacting?
It was usually, hey, can I ask you a question? Which would be, dobrý den, mohl by som vám se spýtať niečo? It's like, can I ask you something?
And then what would they say normally?
Go to Africa.
Go to Africa?
That was just one dude in Czechia. No, usually they'd just be like, I don't have time, nemám čas, or they'd be like, what do you want?
Yeah.
Because like they're not used to people stopping them on the street.
Yeah, and how would you go? Because that's like a very cold contact.
Yeah.
Well, how do you continue a conversation with someone that doesn't want to talk to you?
It depends on which country you're in, really. Because in Czechia, where they're mostly atheists, you would usually ask, do you believe in God?
Okay.
Because like the classic answer after that is no, and then you ask, well, do you believe in the universe? And like, I believe in something, and then you just go from there. Like, I kid you not, it's a script.
That's just
It's a script for everyone.
Because everyone's it's so crazy that those places are so close to each other, yet they're so different.
Yeah, because in Slovakia, if you asked if they believe in God, they'd be like, yes, because they're all Catholic.
Yeah.
And then you get nowhere, because then you're like, okay. So in Slovakia, mostly you'd have to use like Book of Mormon, like differences between Catholicism and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But the other problem is if you do that, then they don't really want to do anything because they like their Catholic.
They like how it is,
They like how it is. They don't really want change.
Yeah. How did the members that were, like, how did people want to become a member? What was, like, a common theme that you saw? Like, what made it so they didn't want to be?
I think the eternal family aspect of it, honestly, even though a lot of their families disown them once they join the church. So a lot of people, a lot of members I know are like, yeah, like, I don't really talk with my parents, or like my siblings don't really talk to me. But I think it's just this concept that like you can be in an eternal family with like God, and that you have a family in heaven, and that you have people who love you no matter what, wherever. So
that is beautiful. The example of the members, like, that's crazy. Wow. Okay, now we're gonna hop into one of the funnest segments. It's not the funnest segments. It's the only segment that is common. There's a common theme in all these podcasts, and that is the Gordon B. Hinckley segment.
Do you have like a transition?
We'll make one. We'll make one just because you said that.
Good.
Let's
better
go.
roll a transition.
Let's go. Boom. You know the story of Gordon B. Hinckley on his mission?
Yep.
He's like, yo, Dad. He didn't actually say that. This is paraphrase, obviously.
Father, I do not want to be here anymore.
Yes,
basically.
I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting your money. I'm ready to go home. And then his dad's like, forget yourself. Get to work. That's what did it for him. What did it for you?
That's a really good question. I think for me, kind of like what I was talking about at the beginning there, it's like remembering that I really can do all things with Christ, and that he wants me to like do this hard thing. And I think when I realized that just because it's hard doesn't mean you should get rid of it, or just because it's hard you need to like disown it, or you need to avoid it, do whatever. Like instead you should embrace it. You should be like, I will use this hard thing to grow. That's so powerful.
Yeah.
Like if you have a trial coming up, like use that to grow, and like get up and continue going forward. And then like you'll look back and you'll be like, wow, I did that. Like that's crazy. Like I just did a mission. Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I never thought I could do that.
Yeah, and you learn a freaking 2 different languages, Czech and Slovak.
Yeah.
They're similar, but that's 2 languages. You're
Yeah.
trilingual now. Who would have thought you would ever do that? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, actually, no, you know German too, technically.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
You studied in high school, but
I forgot it all. It's all replaced for Slovak.
Slovak.
But like, yeah, like, and since I did that hard thing, I can do this hard thing, like going to school, like finding new friends, getting a job, all these other things that like could honestly be scary. I look at it, I'm like, well, I did this, and I know God exists, and I know Christ loves me and like wants to help me, so I'll do this.
Yeah.
And you just keep growing. And like, isn't that why we're here? Is to grow?
Mm-hmm. That's why we're here.
So I think that's what it was for me. Well, one of the things for me.
Yeah, that I had a shift in my mission. My brother wrote me this letter. I don't think I've shared this on any of the podcasts. This is brand new info. Ooh. Spice. But my brother said, it's a blessing to be a missionary, and it's a blessing that God gives us the opportunity to be a missionary, because God could snap his finger and he has control over everything. All this work could be done. But he makes it so we can have the experience of going through trying to teach people, trying to get their attention, all of this stuff, because it helps us grow. Like missions, I think a lot of people talk about like, oh, you're helping so many people, and yes, that's what you're doing, but you are growing and becoming a better instrument in the hands of the Lord because of this experience. And I think it's just, I don't know, it's really, I'm paraphrasing it like crazy, but this letter that my brother wrote to me, I was like, dang, this is changing my perspective. And that's what made me realize, like, this is a blessing, not a burden to be out here. Like, this makes a big difference in how I see things.
Yeah. And it reminds me, because like, in my mission, you would do things and you would not see results. Like, I did not see a lot of results. And so it's really easy to get like discouraged and be like, I've been doing this all these times and I see nothing. There's nothing for my results here. And like,
none of the vanity metrics, the numbers like baptisms or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you get told all the time that you're planting seeds, which like, yeah, you are. You're planting seeds for others to like reap the rewards of, which is good. After hearing that like 50 times, it gets a little like, okay, I know.
Yeah, I know, but yeah.
In one of my zone conferences, there was an analogy where, I'm going to paraphrase, I don't know it exactly right, but God tells this man to push on the rock, and he pushes on this rock day after day. And the rock never goes anywhere. And so he tells God, and he's like, God, I never moved that rock. And God's like, I never asked you to move that rock. I asked you to push on that rock, and look at how much stronger you are now because of it. And it's like, look at how much stronger you are because of the hard things that you're doing. I might not have seen a lot of success on my mission, but like, I'm all the better because of it. And like, you might do these things every day that you never see the results from, but if you look back and you see like the blessings that came regardless of it, even if it wasn't in like a number or a baptism, like it's in other results. Like, you can see that growth within yourself. You have more patience, you have more confidence, stuff like that.
And that changes not only your life, your eternity. Like, your perspective on everything has changed. It's going to make you a better dad, a better husband.
Yeah, like it doesn't just change
everything.
You, like it changes how you help people.
Your kids are going to be blessed because of the things that you learned.
And who knows who they're going to help. Like something good happens doesn't mean like the now. Like, I'm going to have kids who will help others, and then they'll help others, and it's like this ripple effect.
Yeah. So. And it's all because it all started from you pushing the rock. That hits deep. That was deep. That was so good. I love that. That was a good nugget of the podcast. I love it. So what would you say to your younger self? Your younger, you were showing me your high school photo in there. And you're like, I look like a little kid. And I was like, that was literally a couple years ago. That's not that long ago.
Yeah.
What would you say to Tiny Tim?
Oh, no. Oh, boy. I'd say keep walking on those crutches. You'll get a present sooner. I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. That's from the Christmas Carol. Yeah. Tiny Tim. Lol. I didn't make that connection.
I did break my foot on the mission, but I got better. So, what would I tell my former self? Honestly, I'd say keep going and keep looking outside of yourself. Like, keep looking at others as Christ sees them, and put yourself in their shoes. And why might they be feeling what they're feeling? Like, look outside of yourself. Humans are so selfish. I'm selfish. We're all selfish. But when you have that Christ-like love towards others, that humbles you. And when you're humble, you can grow so much easier. Like, a prideful person, it's so much harder for them to grow because they just want to stay where they're at. Like, they think that they're good. But when you're humble and you say, God, like God, change me how you need me to be changed. And then whatever needs to happen will happen. You trust in God, and it'll be okay. So I don't know if that made sense.
No, that totally makes sense. I love that. It reminds me of one of my favorite books. It's called The Go-Giver. And in the book, it talks about this like famous radio talk host or whatever, where he has like some of the biggest influencers in society. And the guy asked the interviewer, he's like, so all these people that are like really famous and or whatever, kind of accomplished a lot in their life that you interview, are they all stuck up? Like, as human beings, like when the cameras are turned off, how do they act? And he said, you know what's really funny is the people that have a little bit of success and it gets to their head, they are the most obnoxious ones. The people that are at the very, very top are the most humble, and that's how they got there. And I think that is a very interesting nugget that, like you said, growth happens when you let the Lord mold you, and you realize I'm not there, and I'm never going to be there in this life, and I'm here just to learn as much as I can. This whole life is just class to grow.
It's okay if you're not perfect now. You were never meant to be perfect now. That was for later. And Jesus Christ was the only one who was supposed to be perfect then. And he did it. And because of that, you will do it.
Yeah, you will, eventually.
But not now. Now is not the time.
Yes. Yes, I love that so much.
This is the last location. You want to tell us a little bit about this chicken coop?
Yeah, so actually we built this, originally the chickens were actually over there, on the other side of the house, but then
Okay.
we built this chicken coop. Oh man, they want some. And and then we built a chicken coop over here, and now they live here.
They're so fun. They just go into town. That is awesome.
Hopefully it's not too much extra noise.
No, I love it. No, I think it's great.
Oh, wonderful.
Well, is there anything else that you'd like to, any fun stories?
So there was actually this one time when my companion and I, in Czechia, we were walking to church, and he turns to me and he's like, Elder Frost, let's invite that couple to church, because we were walking to the church.
Okay.
For church. And I'm like, invite them to church?
Like right before it?
Yeah, like it's going to start in like 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, let's do it. I'm like, what? And then we talked, and they came to church.
No way!
They came to church. They didn't keep coming, but it just showed me, they was like,
You can just do it.
yeah,
Just send it.
He was a really spirit-led missionary, I feel.
I think that's so cool.
And I think that's one of like the most important things about being like missionary work is like those moments where you have that random like, I should probably do that. And you're like, I'm gonna just do it. And then like, it
Yeah.
could work, it could not. Again, the point of it is like, it shows
it.
that God trusts you.
Yes.
Or show that you trust God, excuse me.
Yeah. And that God can trust you.
yeah.
Yes.
That's
You
what I
trust
said.
God and that he can trust you back. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And then he'll trust you with like the bigger
More.
things.
Yeah.
So,
I love that so much. I think that's super cool. And I've had too many moments when I get a prompting and I didn't act on it. And the crap that you feel
yeah.
when you don't act
like-
on that prompting. So act on those promptings.
Yeah.
Or else you're going to feel like crap.
Yep. And like, it might not work out. The couple didn't end up like being
Progressing,
taught.
yeah. Or they progressed to a certain point. But,
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, we did what he felt was needed.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
Yeah. That's all that matters in the end.
Yep.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having on the podcast.
Hopping on.
Literally.
Sorry, my bad.
It was so fun to be able to see your house and just like party it up. This
Yeah.
is good times. It's been almost 2 years. 2 years and what, 8 weeks? In 8 weeks from now, it's going to be have been 2 years since we were
Yeah.
companions.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
That's bonkers. So, the friendships that you make on the mission, literally, they're the best. They're
Yep.
so fun and so cool. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone so much for watching, for tuning into this episode. As always, this whole podcast, whatever you get prompted to by the Spirit, act on it. Sometimes a story prompts me to do something. Sometimes hearing about someone's experience tells me to do something. So whatever it is you got on this podcast, even if it's just to share this with someone that you know that's preparing to go on a mission, just do whatever the Spirit tells you to do. That's our only invitation at the end of any of these. So
Yep.
thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.
Thank you.